Verify ready for launch. FTS.
FTS go.
Props go. ABI.
ABI's go.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the GPS 3.8 launch. Falcon 9 rocket is currently waiting liftoff from Space Launch Complex 40 at 2:53 a.m. Eastern Time. My name is Annie Tway. I'm a Starlink operations engineer here at SpaceX. For this mission, we are taking the GPS 3 Space Vehicle 10 to orbit on behalf of the United States Space Force. Falcon 9 launched 11 national security missions in 2025, and today's launch will be our third national security mission this year, with several more on this year's manifest for the Space Force, Space Development Agency, and National Reconnaissance Office. GPS 3.8 is Falcon 9's fourth accelerated mission in the past 16 months, with all missions on accelerated timelines for the Space Force, each time decreasing our rapid response while still ensuring safe delivery to orbit. Today's launch will be our fastest national security space launch turnaround, with liftoff currently planned for less than 1 month from being put on contract. This type of mission has typically required a 2-year planning cycle, so the condensed turnaround time here is considerable. Falcon's reliability and reusability is what makes this possible. And here is a view of today's payload before encapsulated into Falcon 9's fairing. GPS 3 Space Vehicle 10, or SV10, is the most innovative spacecraft in national security space launch program history. Once on orbit, SV10 will complete the GPS 3 constellation, marking 32 GPS satellites in the active constellation, with extra redundancy and resiliency, including additional vehicles on orbit. GPS delivers precise timing signals for everyday activities from mobile devices, banking transactions, air traffic control, earthquake detection, to navigation across air, land, and sea. SV10 will deliver GPS capabilities to the warfighter that are 3 times more accurate and 8 times more resilient to jamming than previous constellations. As for the launch vehicle, this will be the 7th flight for today's Falcon 9 booster after previously launching 6 Starlink missions. The range is green, and we are on track for an on-time liftoff at 2:53 a.m. Eastern Time. The evening on the launch pad is looking clear. If for any reasons we are unable to launch today, a backup opportunity is available tomorrow at 2:49 a.m. Eastern Time. But for now, the weather is green with only a 10% probability of violation. With that, let's learn a bit more about today's mission.
For 250 years, the United States of America has represented freedom and democracy at home and abroad. Our nation's military was forged to defend those ideals, and for decades, America has been at the forefront of space innovation and security. Today, the United States Space Force Guardians, the world's most elite space warfighters, are on watch across the globe and around the clock to ensure space remains safe and accessible for all. One key element of America's leadership in space is our ability to launch satellites whenever we need to, a capability we've built shoulder to shoulder with our industry partners through the National Security Space Launch Program. This allows us to deploy the satellites essential for missile warning, secure communications, precision navigation, and more. Of all the technology we have in space, the Global Positioning System, or GPS, is likely the most visible and consequential to your daily life. The launch you're about to see is special because it's the final piece of our new GPS-3 constellation, our most advanced GPS satellites yet. That means the Space Force is providing stronger, more accurate, more reliable GPS for our warfighters and for billions of users around the world just like you. As we celebrate 250 years of American independence, we honor the innovative and patriotic spirit that defines us. That same spirit guides us today, now and for generations to come. Wherever in space our interests go, the United States Space Force will be there to secure them. Semper Supra.
The Falcon 9 rocket supporting today's mission is a two-staged rocket designed for the reliable and safe transportation of satellites, cargo, and people. The payload fairing at the top is a protective shell that houses the payload, shielding it from aerodynamic heating until the vehicle is outside the Earth's atmosphere. The shape of the fairing contributes to Falcon 9's overall efficiency, helping to reduce drag during the rocket's ascent. Once in space, the two fairing halves will separate and fall back to Earth, where they will be recovered by our recovery vessel to be refurbished and reused on future flights. Both fairing halves on today's mission are flight-proven, with one side flying for its third time and the other for its second.
Engine chill has started.
Right below the fairing is Falcon 9's second stage, which contains a single Merlin vacuum engine, or MVAC, with a larger engine nozzle optimized for operating in the vacuum of space. And below the second stage is the black carbon fiber inner stage, which is where the MVAC engine is housed until stage separation. Below that, we have the first stage, or booster, that is fully loaded with about 1 million pounds of liquid oxygen and RP-1 rocket-grade kerosene. The first stage makes up the bottom two-thirds of the vehicle and has 9 Merlin M1D engines at the bottom,
Stage 1 RP-1 load complete,
which generate more than 1.7 million pounds of thrust. And as I mentioned earlier, the first stage supporting today's mission will be making its 7th flight today. About 2.5 minutes into flight, the first and second stages will separate, and the booster will make its way back to Earth to land on our drone ship, Just Read the Instructions, which is currently stationed in the Atlantic Ocean. This will be the last Falcon mission for Just Read the Instructions, which has supported 155 landings to date since it first joined the fleet in 2015. The drone ship will be fully dedicated to supporting Starship operations going forward. At T-minus 5 minutes and 30 seconds, weather continues to look favorable and teams are tracking no issues. Next up in the countdown, the transporter erector, or TE, will begin to retract away from Falcon 9. First, we'll see the clamps around the second stage open, and then the TE will begin to pivot back, slowly swinging away from the rocket. We're just about 30 seconds away from seeing those clamp arms begin to open around the second stage. Those clamps help stabilize the second stage during fueling and prevent movement in high winds. Once they're open,
tanks are pressing for strong back retract.
Once they're open, the rocket will fully free at the top, but will still be held down at the base. You may hear the TE called the strong back, though the strong back is just one of the components of the TE.
Strong back retract has started.
And there you heard the call out for strong back retract starting. The TE does a lot of heavy lifting as it rolls Falcon 9 out to the pad, raises it vertical, and stays connected to the rocket through the final seconds before launch. It provides fuel, power, telemetry, and command connections between ground systems and the rocket. And there you can see those clamp arms opening. And with those clamp arms fully open, we can now see the strong back begin to recline away from Falcon. At this stage in the countdown, both stages are nearly fully loaded with about 1 million pounds of propellant. That includes Rocket Propellant 1 or RP1, a highly refined kerosene, and liquid oxygen or LOX, chilled to roughly 300 degrees below zero. The first stage is fully loaded at around T-minus 3 minutes, and the second stage finishes about a minute later. Looking ahead into the count.
Stage 1, LOX load complete.
And there you heard the call out for Stage 1 LOX load complete. Looking ahead in the count, at T-minus 60 seconds, Falcon 9 will enter startup. And at that point, the rocket's onboard flight computers will take over. From there on out, the countdown is fully autonomous. And just inside of T-minus 2 seconds, the 9 Merlin 1D engines will ignite. And once they're at full power, Falcon 9 will lift off from the pad and begin to climb to its orbit. At T-minus 2 minutes, the range is green, the payload remains healthy, and the team is tracking no issues. Coming up shortly, we should hear the call out indicating LOX is finished on Falcon 9's first stage.
Stage 2, LOX load complete.
Or rather, there you heard Stage 2 LOX load has completed. Falcon 9 is now fully loaded with 1 million pounds of RP1 and LOX.
Gas launch closeouts.
And there you heard gas closeout has started, and that refers to the venting and closing out gaseous systems, such as topping off tanks and sealing vents to maintain pressure. In about 10 seconds, Falcon 9 will enter startup.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
At this point, the autonomous flight computers have taken over the launch countdown, and both stages are pressurizing for launch. We're now just waiting on the final go-no-go from the launch director.
Mission directors, go for launch.
And there you heard the mission directors go for launch. Let's sit back and watch as Falcon 9 takes SV10 to space.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 15 seconds. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff. Go Falcon, go GPS 38.
Vehicles pitching downrange.
M1D chamber pressure is not low.
At T plus 30 seconds and counting, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. We're now throttling down the engines to prepare for Max Q, the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure during ascent. Max Q occurs when the combination of speed and air pressure puts the greatest stress on the vehicle.
Vehicle is supersonic. Max Q.
And there's that call out for Max Q. Coming up next are several major events in quick succession: main engine cutoff, stage separation, second engine start, and fairing separation. Main engine cutoff, or MECO, is when all 9 engines on the first stage shut down. This is followed by stage separation, which is where the first and second stages are pushed apart.
MVAC chill.
Few seconds after that, the second stage engine will ignite and continue pushing towards orbit. Shortly after, the 2 fairing halves will separate and fall away, exposing the payload to space. We should begin hearing those first callouts in about 30 seconds.
Main engine cutoff.
Stage separation confirmed.
MVAC startup.
And confirmation for that series of events, which again were MECO, stage separation, and SES-1. Coming up next will be fairing separation. Once the vehicle reaches the vacuum of space, the payload fairings are no longer needed and will be jettisoned away. As mentioned earlier, we will be attempting to retrieve these fairing halves again. Both fairing halves are flight proven, one flying for its 3rd time and the other for its 2nd.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And there is that confirmation for fairing separation. If you're just joining us, you're watching a live coverage of the GPS 3.8 mission. We had an on-time liftoff at 2:53 a.m. Eastern Time from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. Now, we're still in the first MVAC burn on the 2nd stage, and this burn should last for another few minutes. In order to make its way back to land today, the Falcon 9's first stage has 2 more burns to execute. Next up is the entry burn, where 3 of the Merlin engines will reignite. This helps to slow the stage down as it re-enters the upper part of Earth's atmosphere. Following the entry burn, shortly thereafter, the booster will initiate the landing burn, which will slow the vehicle down before touching down on our drone ship. We should be hearing the call out for entry burn in about a couple seconds from now. During the entry burn, Falcon 9 is decelerating by firing its Merlin engines, but the vehicle is still moving really fast. This causes it to fly through Merlin's exhaust gases, also known as the rocket's plume, which deposits a layer of soot on the vehicle surface, which is why our flight-proven vehicles look the way that they do. The soot comes from the carbon-based fuel that Falcon 9 uses, and with each flight, that soot builds up a little more on the outside of the vehicle. We are still more than a minute away from the beginning of the entry burn. As you see on the telemetry on the bottom of your screen, the 2nd stage is still picking up speed. On your right screen, you can see the engine burn, and left side, you can see the first stage decelerating and making its way back to Earth. Reusability is key to lowering the cost of spaceflight, enabling more investments in critical space infrastructure. Falcon 9's first stage is supporting today's mission. Falcon 9's first stage that is supporting today's mission is performing this entry burn for its 7th time. The payload fairing is also flight proven, with one half flying for its 3rd time and the other for its 2nd.
Stage 1 FTS safe.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
There you heard the call out for entry burn startup on the Falcon 9's first stage. This burn is set to last about 30 seconds and again is slowing down the vehicle in preparation for its final burn and landing.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
And there's a call out for entry burn shutdown, the completion of the Falcon 9's first stage entry burn. Coming up next will be the first stage landing burn. We should hear a call out in a couple minutes for the second engine cutoff 1 or SECO 1, which is when the MVAC engine on the second stage shuts down. That'll conclude the roughly 5-minute burn by this engine needed to get to the proper orbit. Seconds later, we'll have the start of the landing burn of the first stage. The landing burn is the final burn of the Falcon 9 booster used to reduce the remaining speed of the vehicle in
Stage 2 terminal guidance.
Again, this will be the last Falcon mission for Just Read
Stage
the
1 transonic.
For Just Read the Instructions, which has supported 155 landings to date since it first joined the fleet in 2015. The drone ship will be fully dedicated to supporting Starship operations going forward.
Stage 2 FTS safe.
Stage 1 landing burn.
And that call-out
Nominal
means
orbit insertion.
means the final burn for this booster.
MVAC shutdown.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
And another successful landing of our Falcon 9 rocket. Again, this was the 7th launch and landing for this first stage, the final Falcon booster to land on Just Read the Instructions. And we also had confirmed good orbit. And back in space, the second stage is continuing its mission to deliver SV10 to orbit. The next major milestone will be the second startup of the Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage, also referred to as SES2. That's coming up at about the T plus 1 hour and 3-minute mark. So we'll be taking a break and be back just before SES2. In the meantime, enjoy the views and space jams.
boggled the mind. And the technology caught up, didn't it?
Welcome back to our live coverage of the GPS 38 mission. It's been a great launch and overall mission so far. We had an on-time liftoff at 2:53 a.m. Eastern Time from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. We launched and recovered the first stage for its 7th time on our drone ship Just Read the Instructions. This was the last planned Falcon mission for Just Read the Instructions, which has now supported 156 landings since it first joined the fleet in 2015. The MVAC engine on the second stage ignited just a couple minutes after liftoff. Its first burn lasted just under 5 minutes, propelling the second stage and our payload to orbit. And coming up next, we will have the second startup of the Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage, called out as SES2. That burn is set to occur at about T plus 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 31 seconds.
MVAC ignition.
And there we have it, confirmation of SES2. This burn is set to last about 1 minute and will get the payload into the proper orbit for payload deployment. And after the second shutdown of the Merlin vacuum engine, we're going to take another break before payload deploy.
MVAC shutdown.
And there's SECO2 indicating shutdown of the MVAC engine and the final burn before spacecraft separation. Payload deploy is coming up at about the T plus 1 hour and 29 minute mark. So stick around and we'll see you back here in about 23 minutes.
Good, burn 2.
Welcome back again to our live coverage of the GPS 3.8 mission. Before the break, we saw the second burn of the Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage, which lasted about 1 minute. Following that, we received confirmation that the vehicle was placed into a good orbit. We're now waiting for a payload deployment coming up at about the T plus 1 hour, 29 minutes and 19 second mark. Today's payload is GPS-3 Space Vehicle 10, or SV10, the most innovative spacecraft in National Security Space Launch Program history. Once on orbit, SV10 will complete the GPS-3 constellation, marking 32 GPS satellites in the active constellation, with extra redundancy and resiliency, including additional vehicles on orbit. GPS delivers precise timing signals for everyday activities from mobile devices, banking transactions, air traffic control, and earthquake detection to navigation across air, land, and sea.
GPS 3.8 payload deploy confirmed.
And there you heard and saw a successful deployment of the GPS 3.8 payload. And with successful deployment of SV10, we'll be bringing our live mission coverage to a close. We'd like to thank the United States Space Force for entrusting us with today's mission, as well as the Range and FAA for their support. If you're interested in more launch coverage, head on over to spacex.com/launches for the most up-to-date information. When you're there, check out our departure board with all the details about our upcoming missions. And of course, remember to follow @SpaceX on X for more updates. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you again soon.